That look like? Yeah, it's recording. And I'm going to also share my screen. There we go. Oh, everyone's disappeared on me. Oh, come on. There we go. That's better. Okay. All right. All right. Awesome. Great to see everyone, and welcome to the May CI Mastermind live event. We do have a little bit bigger group than usual, but I think we'll be good to manage through conversation. So first, as always, I want to just explain what we're doing here for anyone that's new. I know we do have a few new people on the call. We're recording the session, and as always, we use these clips in some of our marketing stuff. So you can be very excited to see yourself on a LinkedIn post in some future date. And I'll also make the recording available to you all after the event. And I do know a couple of people actually registered and said, I can't attend, but I just want the recording. So I'm like, okay, cool. So that means they're very excited about your topic, Dan.
Well, that's good news.
We like to see your faces. So if you can turn your camera on, we appreciate the main thing here is dialogue, especially for those of you that have been to these before. The main thing here is dialogue. So dialoguing when you can see someone's face is much better. And use the chat for conversation. I encourage you to put a note in the chat about where you work and the role you have. And I also have had a few people reach out to me that are in transition. If you're in transition and looking for something, put a note in the chat and let people know what you're looking for. This is intended to be a community where we're helping each other out. We all have an affinity for continuous improvement. We all know other people and other roles in the continuous improvement space. So go ahead and put that in the chat and let other people know what you do and where you need help. The session's 45 minutes. I'm doing my introduction now. Dan Wallace is our speaker. You can wave to the audience, Dan. We'll hand things over to him in just a minute. CI Mastermind Live is a monthly community where we're talking through the issues we all face in trying to drive continuous improvement. And we're doing it. The structure of this is done in a way that is similar to our CI Mastermind program. So you're getting a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be in one of our CI Mastermind programs by attending these free sessions. These, of course, are larger. Our CI Mastermind programs, 5 to 7 people. This will go up to 20. I don't know that we've broken the 20 mark yet, but we get closer all the time. And the idea is brief learning and real-time problem solving. So that's why I always ask you to fill out a question in the registration survey. And man, they're really good questions in there. There's a lot to choose from. I would say some of the things you guys had in there, and maybe this will be something I follow up on, I don't think are so much about meetings as about some maybe organizational structural challenges. But maybe we'll touch on it in the session. And if we don't, I'll kind of think about that for future sessions. But great stuff. Thank you very much for all of you that responded there. And then it's a rotational format. Typically, we get to 2 or 3 people on these calls. But I would say always the discussion is relevant to everyone on the call. The rules of the session, please respect the peers, engage in the dialogue, help. I want to hear people speak up. It's certainly not just about me or Dan. We want to hear from everybody. You all have unique experience that can help each other out. And please recognize that this is an open public format that we have here. So Don't share things that you shouldn't share. Sanitize the specifics of your company as needed. I'm sure there's things you can share, and that's not a problem. I want to make just a couple comments on what we're doing at Chalmers Street. So very exciting. We have our first software platform only customer. So the CI Mastermind software is now a software as a service. So we're very excited about that. You can, in fact, hold on. You can set up your own accounts if you wish, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. There's tools in here that are free, and in fact, the original creation of this or purpose of this was frankly just to put some free tools out there for other people to use. And so it's kind of like marketing and creating some general interest. But people liked it, and so we're like, oh, let's do more with it. And it was really useful for consolidating all of our CI Mastermind information into one place. So we built it. We're continuing to build it. And now we are offering our A3 template and our leader standard work template and dashboard as a purchasable standalone service. And actually, I haven't quite decided how much of our training material we'll make available, but we'll kind of see what the interest is and see how we go. The point is that this is a low cost way of starting to engage with Chalmers Street. And so if you're interested, I would encourage you to reach out to me after the session. I can tell you more about it. I can give you a demo, so on and so forth. Definitely a good way to structure your problem solving. Okay, enough about that. June 26th. Hey, Maribel, you're on. You can wave to the group. Maribel will be joining us to talk about the invisible processes that hold the company back. It sounds mysterious, but it's not. In fact, Dan, this is one that you've brought to my attention many times. We'll look at the hidden processes and handoff gaps, right? Dan has many times said to me, Matt, how do we get people to understand the communication, the formality or documentation that helps us reduce handoff gaps and the importance of that and how many problems it creates. And we've talked about things. I don't know if we've ever created with something. So maybe Maribel, with your session, will come up with some specific structures that we can offer to folks to address those handoff gaps. So she'll be here next month to talk about that. I also just want to mention that Chris and I are working on a LinkedIn Live event. And if you've never attended LinkedIn Live, it's like a streaming event. We don't quite have the content figured out for it yet, but it is going to be in July. You'll hear from me. I appreciate any promotion that you can help us with. You know, we want to try and get 100 people on that live event. And so that will be coming up soon as well. Okay, enough of me talking. Let's get into the thick of it. Dan, can you introduce yourself, introduce the topic, give us a little bit of structure for our discussion, and then we'll jump into some discussion. Sound good?
I can do that. When I click share, Teams wants me to give it permission to do that. I hope it's not going to tell me it's. Oh boy, Matt, I have to quit Teams and reopen it to share my screen. I apologize. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Or do you want to just send me the slides and I can pull them up on my side?
Too late.
All right. Well, while we're waiting, maybe we jump into a few things. Is Dan still there?
Matt, did you mention that we will likely be using pieces of this for the live stream?
I did not. Yeah, so that's right now the thinking for the live stream. is that we're going to chop some of this up and pull up things that we think are valuable snippets, put it up as dialogue, and kind of the way the live stream works is it's a chat. So so what we want to do is generate that chat back and forth, and then that's kind of how we plan to run the live stream. But the exact structure there, and obviously what we're going to use from this event, we don't know yet. All right, Dan's back with his slides. All right, Dan, go right ahead. Except you're on mute.
I so prefer Zoom. It's all what you're used to.
I tried to. I was sorry. I just have a tangent. Right. I was going to set up a session with a new client, and I said Zoom or Teams, and they said, "Oh, we hate Zoom." And I said, "I think Zoom's much better." But unfortunately, Dan, easier. Teams has become the standard.
Here we go. Okay. So Matt asked me to tell you all who I am. I have spent the last 15 years as an implementer of EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is a management methodology for creating clarity, alignment, focus, discipline, accountability across an organization. I'm number 12 in seniority out of what's now about 850 worldwide. So I've been at this for a while, 100 clients, 1,100 and some sessions. I have some background in strategy consulting and a little bit of corporate finance before that. So that's the experience I'm bringing into the room. And what we're going to do today is we are going to, there we go. We're going to do the following. So 3 objectives. First is I'm going to share with you a very productive approach to running meetings. I'm going to share with you a productive approach to issue solving, which is a significant part of what happens in meetings, and meetings are the place where a lot of, basically the place where issue solving happens. And we're going to get a little bit of practice with that. Is everybody good with that list of objectives? Pretty cool. Good.
No one's dropping off, so I think you're in the right spot.
Okay. That's wonderful. Our agenda kind of follows the objectives. I'm going to share meeting methodology, a little context for meetings, a little meeting methodology. I'm going to share the issue solving methodology. We're going to get some issue solving practice, and we'll wrap up. Now, I should tell you that what I'm going to share with you when I'm doing this with a client takes an hour plus. Matt told me I have 10 to 15 minutes. When he said that, what he heard in his head was 10, and what I heard was 15 to 20. So I am going to rip through this as fast as I can, and we'll do some Q&A at the end. The other thing, let me just say that what I'm going to share with you is a little piece of the system that I teach. We'll probably wind up touching on some other things that the system addresses. One thing I want you to know about me is that I stopped taking on new clients a year and a quarter or so ago. I'm actually starting to let my practice wind down, and so I'm not doing this with the hope of signing anybody up as a client. That said, some of the things we're going to talk about, you may not be the person in your organization who controls this. If you hear anything and you say, boy, there's somebody I'd really like to hear this because they could control whether we would do it or not, please know that I'm happy to have that conversation with you, or with them. So happy to be an information resource. Everybody good? We'll get started. When I say everybody good, I can't see the entire grid. So, there we go. Now I can. All right. So here we go. First, just a little context on meetings. Why do they matter? Because meetings are where teams actually act as teams. The rest of the time we're all off in our spaces doing our individual work. This is where teams act as teams. In meetings, we share information, we solve issues together, we give and get help. We make decisions in meetings. Not all decisions are made in meetings, but many are. And the meeting is actually the forum within which leaders do leadership work. It is the primary forum in which a leader acts as a leader. So they're really important. Doing them well is really important. Doing them poorly makes them frustrating and an enormous waste of time. Matt, I don't know why I'm getting the admits for the.
Sorry, I'll take care of it. You can ignore them.
Good, thank you. Okay, so meetings really important. We focus in our work on what I'm going to call pulse meetings, regularly scheduled routine meetings to keep a team on track. And one thing I'm going to encourage, this came up a little bit. Somebody had a comment, I don't know if that person is here, about, why do we have to have a meeting every week? Having meetings on a regularly scheduled pulse establishes a rhythm for the team. So there are ad hoc meetings, but I actually think that having meetings on a regularly scheduled pulse rather than scheduling them ad hoc really helps a team stay connected with each other, stay on track, make sure things are getting done. There's a little bit of when I go slow, I go fast to this, that sometimes there may be things to think, well, we could do that right now. Our meeting's in 3 days, maybe it can wait. And that steady cadence winds up being a really valuable part of what we help companies do. When we set teams up for this, and I'm going to talk about this in the context of what a leadership team does, and then we can talk a bit about how it might adapt to things you're working on. For pulse meetings, we have 5 basic rules. Meeting is same day. We use a weekly pulse, so let's assume that. Same day every week, same time every day. Why is that? So people can schedule around it and plan their work lives around it, because meetings are mandatory. If you're on a team, that team is meeting, that meeting is mandatory. It's got to schedule things around it. Same agenda. I'm going to show you the agenda next. The agenda is incredibly efficient and effective. We deploy the same agenda every week. Meeting starts on time, which means you're in the meeting room 5 minutes early. You got your coffee, you've chatted. 12 o'clock, okay, let's go. We work on, again, Lombardi time. Early is on time is late. Meetings end on time. Why? Because they will expand to fill the time you allow for them. And so we figure out how much time we think we need in a typical week. For us, leadership teams, 90 minutes. Teams below the leadership team, somewhere between 45 minutes or an hour is pretty typical. We're really busy, want to get the meeting work done, get back in our lanes, and get to work. So those are the kind of the 5 core rules of the meeting pulse. The agenda that we use for a leadership team, we call the level 10 meeting. We call it level 10 because we have our teams rate every meeting so they can give themselves feedback, and we want to get them to a point where they're consistently getting 10. It's actually a really good barometer for how well the team is doing in using the tools that we teach. That's why it's called the level 10 meeting. Here's the agenda for it. Starts again, everybody's in the room 5 minutes ahead of time, 8 o'clock, let's begin. First thing we do, we call the segue. We go around the room, and it just very briefly, everybody on the team shares 2 pieces of good news from the last 7 days. Piece of personal good news, piece of business good news. There's a little psychology behind this that first off, it's sort of a gateway that you get to pass through that helps your brain transition from in the business to on the business. It brings us a little closer as human beings. There's a little team health in this. It also brings a little positivity into the room, and there's some research that shows that we actually work better when our overall mindset is positive. So we allow 5 minutes for that. All of our teams have a scorecard. You might say KPIs or dashboard. For us, it's 5 to 15 numbers, typically leading indicators, human activity and effort, which if we do it consistently and well, should deliver results that we care about. So this is how many sales calls do we need to make? How many proposals did we need to issue? What did our on-time delivery rate need to be? And did we hit or miss those numbers? We give ourselves 5 minutes to run through the scorecard, see what we made and missed. Next thing we do, rocks in our world. Some of you may have seen this, some perhaps not, but it's just for us, it's just code for quarterly goals. So there's a story behind that, which I won't bore you with now. Rock, just think rock equals quarterly goal. Everybody on the team has some, 2, 3, 5, 6. And we run through all of those and just ask, are we on track or off track? Are you on track or off track on each of these? On track means I have every expectation of having it done by the due date. The due date, by the way, is our next quarterly meeting as a team. Off track means I no longer have that expectation. It is now in jeopardy of not being finished. Next thing we report on is any headlines from customers, from employees. Sometimes it's vendors or other partners, key constituencies. Are they happy with us or not? If they are, that's great. If not, we might have an issue we need to solve. And then we run through a to-do list. These are the to-dos that we created as a result of issue solving in last week's meeting. So everybody's got their own individual to-do list. This is the one that belongs to the team. People on the team made explicit promises to one another in last week's meeting. I will have this done by next week's meeting. And we're running through that list and finding out, did you get it done or not? So that's 25 minutes. And then we turn to our issues list. Our teams come in with an issues list. We're adding issues during the meeting. IDS we'll get to in a minute. That's the issue solving methodology. So we have 60 minutes set aside for a leadership team to give and get help with each other. And with 5 minutes left in the meeting, we stop issue solving and we wrap up. The wrap up consists of recapping any new to-dos that were created, checking to see if we have any cascading messages. Cascading message is just if there's something that happened in this meeting that we need to share with somebody who's not in the meeting, we just need to be clear about who's saying what to who. And then we rate the meeting, give ourselves a little feedback about how we did. So that's the agenda that our teams use every week. When I first saw this, it actually felt kind of restrictive. It felt a little bit like a straitjacket. It's actually not. There's an enormous amount of freedom in this meeting. This meeting is the very first thing that my clients, typically within the first 30 days, come back and tell me that they're getting enormous value from. And the secret to this meeting is this, that these first 4 sections of the agenda are reporting only. There is no issue solving. We're not stopping to discuss. When something's off track, if a scorecard number is missed, we drop it to the issues list. If a rock is off track, we drop it to the issues list. If we have a bad news headline, drop it to the issues list. Incomplete to do, same thing. The reason we do that is, the normal course of business, this is typically not something that we're taught to do. If there's a missed scorecard number, there will be. We'll stop and talk about it, and we might spend 10 or 15 or 20 minutes on that. By default, we are making it today's most important issue. In reality, it might or might not be. There may be much more important stuff further down the agenda that we haven't gotten to, and we're going to run out of time to get to that stuff. So what we're going to do is get it all onto the issues list, and then we'll see the entire issues list in front of us, and we can prioritize what's the best use of our time in today's meeting. Everybody good there? That's the agenda. Again, this just turns out to be ruthlessly effective. It's wonderfully efficient. Non-pulse meetings. So I thought a little bit about, those of you who are not leading a team that meets on a consistent basis. It might be project-based. Again, I'd encourage you to think about how you can how you can establish a consistent pulse and use that meeting. One of the things that happens with our clients using this agenda is it has a way of making lots of other meetings unnecessary because of everything we capture here. But for non-pulse meetings, just some guidelines that I suggest. First is explicit agreement about who needs to be there. There was some commentary in the issues, the registration issues about sometimes people don't respond to invites, they don't show up, a decision maker needs to be there, isn't there. Explicit agreement, and if the answer is, it's a yes or a no. If the answer is yes, participation is mandatory, and that just has to be a cultural norm. If you can't make it, we can't have the meeting. Objectives and agenda. Go back to what I did at the start of the meeting. In about 20 seconds, I set the context for why we're here and what we're going to do. About a third of you said some version of no purpose, no agenda for the meetings. Always objectives and agenda. The meeting should have an owner. It is the meeting owner's job. Again, this has to become a cultural norm to make sure everybody is clear why we're meeting and what we're going to do. If we're not clear why we're meeting, then the question is, why are we meeting? Right? If we don't have clear objectives, then maybe we shouldn't be getting together. The core principle I shared on the prior page, separate reporting from issue solving. The value of that, the efficiency with which you move is huge. Informational updates. There were a couple of comments about how people just provide updates in meetings. This could have been an email or a report. It could have been I would say, though, I see this happen all the time, that informational updates, if they're short and to the point, can be a really efficient way to get everybody on the same page. Everybody hears the same thing at the same time. They can all ask questions and hear each other's questions. We typically treat these as issues that go into that issue solving session. One version of an issue is, I just need to do a quick status update. And then lastly, when the purpose of the meeting is to make a decision, can we please just be very clear who the decision maker is and make sure they're there? If our intent is to make a decision, let's not get together and not have the person who's making the decision there. And there were some questions or issues around what happens when the decision maker is at a higher level in the organization than the team. And that is a structural thing that we can talk about briefly. All good so far? Everybody good?
See nodding head.
Yes.
Left one out. Always document every next step from every meeting. We do it through a to-do list, right? Everything gets documented, and if documentation is simple, who's doing what by when, that's a SMART goal. And I recommend that you make when the next meeting or an upcoming meeting. That's how you start to gather the stuff into that pulse, so you don't have to have a bunch of ad hoc meetings. So lots of stuff there in caps. I sort of feel like our fearless president. Follow-up steps not documented. Sad! Exclamation point. Any questions so far? All good? Okay. Again, I am moving through this as fast as I can. That's the meeting stuff. The approach to issue solving, since 2/3 of the meeting agenda I just showed you is issue solving. How do we go about that? First thing to note, in our world, issues are not bad. Issues are just items that need discussion and resolution by members of the team. I don't think I wrote this down, but we want all issues to flow through the meeting so everybody is aware they exist. They don't necessarily have to get solved in the meeting. Sometimes you'll look at something and say, this is going to take half an hour, and it's only the three of you. Why don't you guys have an offline meeting? But then everybody knows it's happening, and there's accountability to come back and tell everybody you did it, and here's what you found. But this is just a funnel through which we can run all of our issues. Some issues need a deep dive. They need root cause analysis. Many issues actually don't. And part of our process is we want to learn how to solve the ones that don't need a deep dive quickly in order to make sure you have time for the ones that do need a deep dive. So we don't want a 2-minute issue to take 30 minutes when we've got a couple of 30-minute issues on the agenda. For the ones that need a deep dive and root cause analysis, you've got A3s, and Matt's going to teach you stuff that's way deeper than what I teach. I don't worry about that. My deal is that 70 or 80 or 90% of the issues don't need that. And when they don't, let's move through them quickly. So to do that, one thing we do, we build an issues list. We solve in order of priority. So you're going to see, and I'm going to have you practice this in a couple of minutes. We have an issues list, and we call out the top 3. We solve those, and then we call out the top 3, and we solve those. It's not top down. There's, it's not in numerical or alphabetical order. It's what do I most need help? It's the one time I encourage people to be selfish, calling out what you need help with. Great issue solving is bilateral. Really good issue solving is a transaction between two people. One person needs help. The other person is the person who can give it. The rest of the team is acting as witnesses to the issues to the issue solving between those two people. They can ask questions. They can seek clarity. They can offer ideas and suggestions. They can certainly participate. But we really try to focus this on, I need help, Matt, you're the person I think I need help from. Here's what I need. Lastly, is the issues in general, and certainly the sort of the relatively quick ones I described a few minutes ago, really boil down to three things. The first is they all come in the form of I need. I need to share information with you. I need to get information or help from you. I need you to make a decision. I'm stuck until you decide something. 80-90% of issues fall into one of those categories. So that's sort of just context for how we think about issue solving. The actual methodology has to do with where we put our time. What's on the left, what typically happens, we use this phrase IDS, identify, discuss, and solve. What typically happens is we spend little or no time identifying what the issue really is that we need to solve. We spend a ton of time discussing it. There are a dozen or more versions of tangents or rabbit holes on the issues list that you all submitted. We talk forever, and then at some point somebody says, "Well, we've discussed this for 45 minutes. I guess we better move on." It is very, very typical meeting behavior. I'm guessing that's never happened to anybody who's on this call, right? The reason this happens is because we start talking about it before we figured out what we're talking about and why. So our fundamental approach is to get clear what we're talking about and why, which has a way of making the need for discussion pretty much go away, and we move right to solve. So it's a change in mindset. The change in mindset comes from a simple change in behavior. So this is the methodology. We have an issues list. We pick our top three. We'll pick issue number one. And if I'm facilitating the meeting, I'm going to ask three questions. Who's teeing this issue up? Somebody put it on the list. It has an owner. Second question, who are you talking to? Who's the person in the room you think is most likely to be able to provide the help that you need? If you can't figure that out, talk to the team leader. I assume every meeting has a team leader in it, because that person speaks for the team. And third, in one sentence, what do you need? Think about being able to say in one short sentence, this is what done looks like or solved looks like for me in this meeting. This is what I'd like to get in the meeting. You may or may not be able to get it right now in this meeting, but be clear what that is. A friend of mine says about this, 7 words, no commas, right between the eyes. I need to know, so I'm going to give you one very quick story. I own a tiny little piece of a company that makes pinball machines, which is fun. And if anybody wants a plant tour, let me know. And they've been trying forever to make a consumerized version of the product. Early version, they commissioned a production run of 500. Halfway through, they weren't selling very well. They stopped making them. In a weekly level 10 meeting, Don, the plant guy, turns to Mike, the sales guy, and says, I'm teeing it up. I'm talking to you. I need a decision from you whether you want the other 250. Mike asked the clarifying question. Why do you need that decision? Don says, because the shop floor is piled 6 feet high with parts. My crew can't move. I need my floor back. I can get it back. I got to get the parts out of there. I can do that by making the product for you or throwing them away. I don't care. You just tell me. You see the transactional nature? Yes. That really simple and straightforward. Share only as much as the person you need help from needs in order to help you. Best way of doing that is let them ask clarifying questions. This is what I need. Let them say, why are you asking me that today? What's going on? Rest of the team, again, gets to act as witnesses, ask questions, and offer ideas. Lastly, when the issue owner says, I'm solved, we move on. If you've been around sales at all, there's a phrase, never talk past the close. When the person says, I'm solved, the sale has been made. We shut up and move to the next issue. All good? Okay. Yeah, I'm going through this really fast. So that's what I have slide-wise to share. That's the methodology. Any questions about anything I share before we turn to the issues that you all submitted?
So I just want to emphasize the word that kept popping in my head as I listened to you, Dan, is deliberate. We're deliberate about what the meeting is for. We're deliberate about the decisions that are being made. We're deliberate about who is running the meeting.
Yep.
We're deliberate about separating issue types, large, small, right? It is a structure that maybe seems uncomfortable at first, but I believe sets you free And we've got a few hands up. So I'm gonna let's go. Dan, are you good if I go to kind of people's questions here?
You can. I'll tell you what, as we're doing that, I'm going to leave this up for a second. Oh, no, I'm not. I will put my email address and phone number in the chat. And again, anybody who has a follow-up question for me, or again, if there's somebody else in your company who, you think needs to hear some of this, you can reach out to me. So yes, please start calling on raised hands.
Sure, let's do it. So Scott Herbst, you had your hand up first.
Hey, great. Thanks, Dan. This is awesome. This is exactly what I came for.
Yep.
I'm curious. I expect that when you introduce these methods to a team, it takes some adjustment. And I guess two questions is like, how long do you find it takes them to adjust? And do you have any quick, like, here's how you train people on this. Here's how you introduce this. Here's how you basically get people following these rules more quickly.
So, what a great question. I'm sorry, give me 1 second, just get my phone number in there. There you go. So when we do this, we start at the leadership team and we're cascading it down. So we break the initial sessions we do with clients into 3 sessions spaced over a 60-day window, day 1, day 30, day 60. One of the reasons we do that is to give the leadership team the chance to do 4 of these meetings before the next time we meet, because they're going to screw it up and come back with a bunch of questions.
Okay.
And they'll come back with a bunch of questions. We'll answer those and tune them up and tweak them a little bit, and then have them go do 4 more. And that's usually enough to get them to a decent pace. And then I'll go show up at one and sit in, audit, and give them some real-time feedback. The truth is that at a leadership team level, this is so productive. They want to do it. So they're hungry for it. We have them do it for a quarter, a couple of quarters, and get pretty comfortable with it. And then we have them start running the same kind of meeting and do exactly the same process with their direct reports, and then cascade it to their direct reports. So we're not in a rush. Journey, not a race. Company's been around for 55 years. They've never done this. If it takes, 3 quarters to do it, that's okay.
Awesome.
But that's it. It's just repetition. And, we've got some literature and some videos about it that people can refer to, and and then we'll coach ad hoc.
And it's repetition, but you're making corrections. They're trying, and then you're giving feedback and making more corrections. Part of this is you can listen to our discussion here, but until you get that group to actually try and apply these things, you're not going to find the gaps.
For sure. And what it is, frankly, is it's a continuous improvement process. Right? It's, we're only getting through 3 issues a week. Okay, that means 2 things. It means you're almost certainly stopping to discuss stuff in the reporting part of the agenda, and it means that you're not being clear up front about what the issue owner needs. Those are the typical root causes of that symptom. And so we'll just work them through that. And then when I'm with them in quarterlies, we'll practice the stuff together. So there multiple ways, but Matt's right. It's not instant. It takes repetition and practice. By the way, if the question you have is if it's something you submitted when you registered, that's where we're going to turn next. So let's save it for there. That's all right.
Say that again, Dan. I was just
going to say, if for anybody who has a question now, if it's on the list of issues that they submitted, I want to turn to that list and do a little of this in real time.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Well, let's see. Scott Winter, you had your hand up. Did you want to ask something, or should we switch to? Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
No, we could switch. Mine was similar to Scott's.
All right, go ahead, Dan.
Here's very quick. There's a very quick one from Robert Snyder in the chat. Would this material have evolved over the past few years? No, not much. It sounds like, Robert, you might have had an introduction to EOS in 2019. No, this hasn't changed. All right. So with that, I want to show you how we approach an issues list. So this list is what you all submitted. And this is what I turned it into. Okay, can everybody see that? You'll notice that there are one or two exceptions. Basically, everything that's on here phrased in 3 words or less. Okay? There's a principle behind this, which is there's great stuff in here. Who's this? Emily. There's wonderful stuff in here that does not need to be shared in writing in order for us to have this, to have a conversation about this. It all boils down to the right decision makers aren't in the room. And Emily can share that verbally, and it's going to save us, it's going to wind up saving us a lot of time. So Emily, my apologies. Yours was the first one that I landed on. It is very common for people to write paragraphs when an issue can be listed in just a couple of words. So here's what we're going to do. I've kept everybody's name next to your issue, and we're just going to call out 1, 2, and 3. And so let's do that. Again, no debate, no discussion. Just call it out. What do you want help with?
Because my name is next to 1, 2, and 3, do I need a comment here?
So I'm sorry. This 1, 2, and 3. This is just the order they're in, so you can call them out. These are not this is not the order we're solving in. We can tackle.
So Dan, just to clarify, you're looking for the group to just say now of the 52 items on here, which number do you want to talk about?
Yep. Thank you. Think about the ones you put up here.
Yeah, well, I've seen tangents a few places.
Okay, so give me a number so I can find it. Here it is.
Tangents,
okay. 1. Okay, tangents is issue number 1. I need 2 more. We work in groups of 3. I need 2 more.
Lack of prep.
Give me a number, please.
10.
10. Okay, good. 1 more.
29. Nothing gets decided.
29. Wonderful. Okay. Now, I'm going to call this out. I'm hoping the issue owner is in the meeting. If not, we may have to skip it, or unless somebody else can speak to it. Normally, and if we had more
Anita's
time,
got 2 of them, so it looks like Anita, you're going to be talking.
that was wonderful. Facilitating issue solving, what I would be doing would be asking you, okay, like, tangents are going to come up. Who's done a great job killing tangents in your meetings, and get you to solve for each other? We have very limited time, and I'm here as your expert witness, so I'm going to do a whole lot of the answering here. My apologies, but with that, Anita, issue number 1, tangents. You're teeing it up.
Yes.
Okay, who are you talking to?
You.
Okay, and 1 short sentence. What do you need?
To, I guess, tools to avoid tangents in our meetings, or the professional way to handle it.
Wonderful. So this would be issue type number 2. You need help from me, right? Information from me. Ideas and tools for dealing with tangents. Wonderful. First thing I would tell you is it's really hard to stop them from recurring. It's kind of a natural human thing. The best thing, what we encourage people to do, best thing is, first off, we're just going to sensitize everybody to it. That tangent may well be a separate issue. And we teach and coach and practice with teams. Tangent alert. Everybody on the team empowered to call out. Tangent alert, is that a separate issue? Add it to the issues list. All right, let's get back to what, Matt said he needs solved. And that's it. There's really no magic. There's just diligence about being willing to call it out and say, great thing, but it's a tangent. I've seen people do other things. I know a guy who facilitates mostly remotely. He has a thing he calls his tangent rabbit, and he'll start to have it creep up into the camera when the team's on a tangent. Everybody can see it. I've had people get programmable buttons that say tangent. They program them to say tangent alert, slap the button. So I did recognizing the behavior and just you need an agreement up front. We are going to call out tangent alerts and stay on task. I didn't say this, but good meeting hygiene is to have a set of rules about how we're going to behave. I don't know if you've done that, but that's really good meeting hygiene. So Anita, one of those rules can be we're going to avoid tangents, call them out when they happen. Are you solved?
Yes.
Excellent. That's what we're after. Yes, Robert Snyder said, wasn't there a thing called the Gong Show? That's what the tangent alert button is about. Beautiful. Okay. Number 2, lack of prep. Anita, that's you again. You're teeing it up?
Yes.
All right. What?
Yeah, so just, I guess, getting your team to be more prepared for the meeting. We have a weekly production meeting or actually daily production meeting, sorry. And there's a few stakeholders that are, get the most questions asked, and it seems like they never really have the answers or the prep done before the meeting starts. And they're trying to remember. And so I just guess looking for guidance on how to get them to be more prepared for this meeting prior to just remembering what's on their head.
How often does this meeting happen?
Daily.
Daily. Got it. Okay. Again, teaching moment. What I'm doing here. This is this is the clarifying questions. That's an important piece of information. And so this is a person who is who's routinely on the receiving end of requests for information or status, something like that?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Let's see. We have a comment from Jeff Palawota for lack of prep when I lead meetings. In addition to the agenda, try to include anything that will help people prepare. So here's what to be ready for. So letting people know in advance. Thank you, Greg, for being here. Anything we know is coming, let people know ahead of time. So wonderful idea. So that's one. Second thing I'd say is, if you go back to the level 10 agenda that I shared, one thing you might think about is, what do we report on routinely? And is this person prepared to report? Here's how many of what we did yesterday. Here's what's on the agenda. It's like a daily huddle in Agile. Here's what we did yesterday. Here's what's coming up today. Here's what's getting in the way. Some version of that might be just helpful to have be part of the agenda. And then the other thing is, I guess I would just ask, is this stuff that you look at this person and you say, they should have known this. If I was doing that job, I would have come in knowing this. And if it is, that might be a feedback conversation to have. We're losing time because you're not on top of this stuff. It would be better for the team if you came in knowing it. That would be great. But the other thing we have happen is, sometimes questions get asked in meetings that the person didn't know was coming, and that's what a to-do is for. By default, the to-do is due at the next meeting. But it can be due anytime. So it might be just to-dos to say, my next hour is going to be getting you answers to these questions. That's okay. All right. And then Jeff's comment, fantastic. Anything else you need there? You good?
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Number 3, nothing gets decided.
David. So David's not on, but I feel like Emily's number 38 decision maker might be similar, and Emily is on.
Wonderful. Emily, where's Emily?
She was on.
There she is. All right. Emily, I read your note. It sounds like you have meetings where there's supposed to be a decision and it can't be made in the meeting. Do I have that right?
Correct.
Okay. What do you think is going on?
A lot of it comes to the decision maker gets invited but doesn't show up and doesn't let anybody know that they're not going to show up.
Okay.
Otherwise, we feel like the team has decided that this person is going to make the decision, but in the moment when it comes to make it, they decide they want to either delegate it or feel like they can't because they need permission from somebody else.
Got it. Wonderful. So I like the way Jeff did this before. I'm going to start sharing answers from what I have. Anybody who's got something, please put it in the chat, raise a hand, do something to let us know. I'm hearing, Emily, I'm hearing two things. One is, I'm going to take the second one first, which is, it sounds like there's probably a lack of clarity about exactly who's accountable for what and who's authorized and empowered to make what decisions. So this is a broader part of the EOS process. The very first thing we do on day one, the very first piece of work is building a thing we call the accountability chart, which is the beginnings. It's the first step in creating a version of the org chart that specifies what each seat is accountable for. And we can take that to who gets to make what decisions. In the absence of that, and it's a wonderful clarifying tool, we do it first because everything else rests on top of it. In the absence of that, a thought that comes to my mind is that perhaps before the meeting, you can say to the person you believe needs to is authorized to make the decision, to go to that decision maker and say, we're scheduling a meeting at which we need to make this decision. We're scheduling a meeting to do it. I think it's your decision. If it's your decision, we need to have you in the meeting. If you can't be in or don't want to be in the meeting or don't want to make the decision, then we need to know who you're empowering to make that decision. One non-acceptable answer, by the way, is the team can make that decision. That's a prescription.
Which I hear all the time, Dan.
Yep.
I hear that all the time.
That's a formula for disaster. At the end of the day, when it's all been said, we want really good, healthy debate. We want people to disagree and tug and pull. And when it's all been said, if the decision's not obvious, one human being has to be able to step in and say, I've heard it all. This is what we're going to do. So a thing you could do would be to just make clear who the decision maker is, and then what debate and discussion do we need to have in decision-making meetings. I'm going to throw a bunch at you here. I ask teams to right up front, let's be clear, do we need to make this decision today? Or is it our intent to make it today? Can we make it today? Do we have the people and the information in the room to make the decision today? And if you don't, then you create to-dos to figure out how you're going to pull those things together in next week's meeting or in a separate meeting, and who needs to be in that. So you can use a pulse meeting to create the context for getting that decision made. So are we in a position to make the decision is a really valuable question. How you doing? Is that giving you what you need?
Yes. Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Remember, there's always a next step for everything. So if we didn't make the decision, then what are the next steps to help us get to a decision? That's at least progress. Jeff says
we're about 10 minutes over. We should try and wrap.
Okay. I would include the decision in the agenda. We can expect a decision on that from, yep. Perfect. It's all good. So Robert says formalize a tiebreaker. We have this ethos that we teach, which is that I don't use the term tiebreaker. I say make the call, because we're not voting, right? We're all expressing our opinions. We all get to be heard. I just am a little careful about make the call. All right. So we only got through 3, and I have hunger for, Matt, I'm okay sticking around longer if people want to go through some of these.
I'll give us 5 minutes, but then I'll have to cut us off.
Okay.
So anyone who wants to stick around for 5 minutes, absolutely happy to continue.
Okay. So 1 and 2, let's just do 2 more. Robert, I want to know what this is about, and I want to know about Scribe Johnny. Is Robert still here?
I am, sorry. You want to know about Scribe Johnny? What else?
So you said talk, and you said Scribe Johnny.
So I think documentation is shoved in the back seat. It's an afterthought. Johnny, take notes, delegate it to AI. Whatever we do, is it really worth documenting? To steal Stephen Covey's line, begin with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. What would be what a team leaves behind? Is it 50 meeting minutes or something more structured and formal?
I have a handful of teams that have an EA in the room, and they are transcribing notes almost like a court reporter. The process, if you do it well, really, if you know what decisions you made and you know what to-dos you created and they're documented, I don't think you need much else. Most of my teams don't keep copious notes. The few that do, honestly, I don't know if they ever actually look at them.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a framework that prevents over-documentation and sprawl.
Right. 100%. I think it's a great question to ask. Are we ever actually going to look at that? Or, here's something I think, we might want to refer back to. We should capture this someplace. I mean, personally, I prefer making it kind of ad hoc. Does that cover all 3 of those issues?
Enough for today, absolutely.
Cool. All right. 1 more. Action items not complete. I'm going to call that one out, which is the same as in-meeting accountability. A beauty of this is, if go back and look at that level 10 agenda, well, you can't because I'm not sharing it. We report on scorecard items, and we report on rocks, and we report on to-dos. And your duty as a team member, and the expectation can be and should be clearly set. We expect you to show up having hit your scorecard numbers. They should be green. It's part of your job. We expect that you're going to show up with your rocks on track. We expect that you're going to have gotten your to-dos done. We know there will be exceptions when for some reason it hasn't happened, but that is the exception, and you are reporting it and verbalizing it live in real time in front of your team. And you are going to feel the peer pressure of the team looking at you when your stuff isn't done. Get ready, right? That's how we're building it. We're building accountability by getting human beings you created to do. Matt, you're saying I can promise that, I was on the phone yesterday with the guy who built my house, and there are a couple of unresolved things. I have a promise from him that I will hear back from him by close of business today with who's coming to the house and who's going to solve that problem. Okay. Within a team, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, we'll see. But within a team, these are sacred promises. And people who don't want to do that will start feeling the pressure, and they will leave, and you will replace them with people who do want to do that. So there you go. All right, Matt, we got to wrap up.
Dan, this was really excellent. I gave you a very difficult challenge of squeezing into 45 minutes. We didn't succeed, but it doesn't matter. The value was absolutely there, and I appreciate you trying to work within my format. This is a big topic, which means I should bring it back up again in a future session, and definitely with the dialogue that we're having. So I just want to thank you, Dan. I really appreciate you stepping up to the challenge there.
My pleasure. There's some great stuff showing up in the say in the chat. The say-do ratio. It should be 1-to-1, right? It should be 1-to-1, and it is never okay to just shrug. Robert asked, when's it okay to shrug in response to something being done? Never. I got to just say this last thing, and then I'll leave the call.
No worries.
When it's not done, I encourage the team leader to ask 3 questions. What happened? Why didn't it get done? Root cause. What happened? I just got distracted. This other thing came up. Whatever it is, we just need to know. Be honest, be vulnerable. We teach vulnerability, right? Be willing to show that your weaknesses. Second question, what are you planning to do to get it back on track? Third question, how can we help you? Okay. We're here to support you.
So in wrapping up, I would just say I guarantee everybody on this call has a meeting before the end of the day here. Ask yourself, is it deliberate and structured in the way that Dan mentioned? Be the person that speaks up and drives it in the right direction. Don't be the one that's quiet and just accepting this as the way it is. That's not what we do in continuous improvement. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and look forward to seeing you all next month.
Wonderful. Matt, do you want me to PDF the slides and send them to you?
Yeah, for sure. I'll include them in the after meeting email.
Beautiful. All right. Do that
Thank
now.
you again.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.